Hi and good evening. My name's Becky from Transinform. The girls from Colorado World have asked me to come along again and make another video. It's getting a bit of a habit this, but never mind. What we're going to do to talk about tonight is the GIC, the Gender Identity Clinic. They're run by the NHS in England, and there's about 7 of them spread throughout England. And I just thought I'd talk a little bit about the process of getting there so that people in the wider world have an understanding of what we have to go through. Before you can get to a gender clinic, you've got to go and see your doctor. You've got to have a long chat with him. You've got to come out to him as being transgender. So wherever you are on the scale, you've got to go there and tell him. Once you've had a chat with him or her, they will then send a letter off to the gender clinic. But it's the gender clinic of your choice. So if you live down in the southwest here, you probably want to go to Exeter. It's the closest one. But people can choose where they want to go now. There's no set, you must go to this one. Once that letter's gone, you can expect to wait several weeks before you'll hear anything, at the very least. They're not the quickest of organisations, I will say. Then you'll eventually get a letter back, and it will say you are number such and such on the waiting list. To give you some idea, currently in the southwest at the Laurels, there's around about 650 people on the waiting list, to my knowledge. So that's one hell of a waiting list. So you're going to be waiting possibly a year, maybe 2 years, I really don't know. There is moves afoot to try and make things better, but there's a lot to do to change that. So you then wait and you wait and you wait and you wait a bit more, and you eventually get to go to the gender clinic. And then you get to see a therapist, and you will have a chat with a therapist. Usually the first session I think is about an hour, and you have a long chat about your life, and they ask you some strange questions and you give them some even stranger answers probably. But all I will say on that is just be truthful and be yourself, because that's what they need to know about. You'll see that therapist 2, maybe 3 times before you even get to see a proper doctor. Then you eventually get to see a gender doctor. The one I saw was a psychologist in sexual behaviour. Now we all know sex and gender have got no connection, so I'm not quite sure why that was, but that was his title. You eventually get to see him. You then have a chat with him, half an hour or so, and if all goes well, he might well prescribe hormone treatment for you, which is the start of a very, very long, slow road. Hormones don't work very fast. They can take years for themselves to work. It's very difficult to get a balance, so you've got blood tests and all sorts to get everything right. Over a period of time, you'll see your gender doctor a couple of times. Hopefully you have some good experiences. I can't say all mine were good. I had one particularly bad one where the doctor actually said to me, "Oh, you're not wearing a dress." And I said to him, "It's December. It's freezing cold, it's pouring down with rain, and I've just walked the length of the high street and down here to the clinic. Would you wear a dress?" And he said, "But we like people to be dressed feminine." And I said, "Well, jeans and a top is pretty feminine." I even offered to take him down the road for a cup of coffee so he could show me the woman walking around in a dress. He declined for some reason. Anyway, so after a fair bit of time, according to the NHS protocols, it is 1 year living in your chosen gender role at a stable hormone level. You'll then get told, we need to give you a second opinion. Well, hang on, you've had 3 or 4 people already give you an opinion that you're transgender. So why second? I don't know. But anyway, you go off and you see another doctor, and he will then have a chat with you and agree or disagree with your other doctor's findings. If he agrees, then they send a letter back to the gender clinic, and that's to put you forward for surgery should you wish it. Not everybody who's transgender wishes to have surgery, and there's many reasons why they wouldn't. There's also many reasons why you will, but it's your personal choice, it's your life. So then you go into another queue. This is where it gets a bit strange, because to my knowledge, at the moment there's only 4 practicing surgeons in the UK doing gender reassignment surgery. So we've got 7 clinics, all with massive waiting lists, pushing forward to 4 surgeons, So the queues are just getting longer and longer and longer. It's a bit of a sorry state of affairs when you think that they treat us under the Mental Health Act. Yet it was declassified in 1974 away from mental health by the World Health Organization, but the NHS still treat us under that category. Under that act, it says they have to treat us within 18 weeks. I don't think I've mentioned 18 weeks before, but none of this fits in with that tie-up, does it? So anyway, you get to eventually, after many years of waiting and going through therapies and treatments and what have you, you eventually get to your surgery. Once you've had your surgery, then have some aftercare, which is deeply personal, and we won't go into that today. And what you have to bear in mind is that aftercare is for life, which means that for the rest of your life you will have to do that aftercare. They also put some other things in the way, like, if your BMI is over 28, you can't have surgery. Why? I have no idea. Totally beyond me, that one. But they've set an arbitrary rule. So the whole thing is based around arbitrary rules and regulations that aren't followed until it suits them. This is just my personal view on the gender clinics. Other people might see them in a different way. Yes, they do a great job, don't get me wrong, but they need to do a better job. The number of people coming out of transgender is increasing every year. The resources are shrinking every year. So the queue can only get bigger and bigger. And I'm sorry to say, I don't see a change coming up in the near future. For those of you who are thinking of going down this route, I wish you all the luck in the world. And I hope you get there, and I hope you succeed, and I hope you find the happiness at the end of that rainbow. Thank you for listening. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.